Happening, guys? Doing a first impressions live this time. And my first impression is going to be of Squadron Leader. My last impression of a Squadron Leader was the special with Perique. So I'm going to be smoking a bowl of Squadron Leader without Perique in my nice meerschaum, which I'm actually really excited about. I don't know if you can really see it. The camera will focus, but I'm starting to get a little bit of that super awesome mahogany color in a couple of little places on the edge. I keep pulling wax off of this pipe. It's out of control. I don't know if it's still migrating to the surface or if all the stuff that's just kind of still stuck on the surface kind of melts back into the cracks as I smoke it, but it's whatever. She's coloring nicely. So, let's get this kicked off. Trusty Dragon Claw here. I know I haven't really made any in a little while. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, I've been busy. So, right off of the false light, I'm getting like a really nice mild English blend. It's fantastic, actually. Very smooth, very mild. The Latakia is not overpowering. See what the rest of it's like. It's got a very smooth taste. You know, based off of the smokiness of the way it smelled in the bag, I really expected it to be a lot more aggressive than it is. But it's really not. Like, the smoky flavors are they're kind of subtle. They blend well. It's very well balanced. I would say, like right off the cuff, this is the first tobacco I've ever smoked that tastes exactly like it smells in the bag after it's lit. Yeah, not really a whole lot to say about the mouthfeel. I guess it would be kind of light and fluffy. There's no real sensation that comes with it. It's not a thick smoke, it's not a heavy smoke. This tastes like what English blends should be. So I got to give credit to Andrew Sirigliano, aka Bluefin Piper, for sending me this stuff. Squadron Leader has a tendency to go as fast as it comes in when it comes to ordering it online. So I'd never gotten a hold of this stuff before. With as much as I heard about it, I really wanted to try it. And last time I got a notification that Squadron Leader was in stock, it was gone by the time I logged on to put some in my cart. So it was a really nice thing you did. I got to say I'm surprised though. The Best Brown, it was actually in stock a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It made it a whole 2 weeks. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what else can be said about it. It's very light, it's very smooth, it's not overpowering. Nothing really comes out to the forefront. I don't know, honestly, how old this stuff was, and if it's had time to mellow, or if it was, opened the same year that you bought it. Andrew, if you're watching this, please let me know down in the bottom, like, how old this stuff was. Because I can honestly say that I've never had an English blend that was this well melded before. So you know how you get a blends, especially in the English blends, like Cornell and Deal's Atlas Balkan was really bad about it. Uh, you'd hit these little pockets of latakia, and it was like throwing a really violent party in your mouth for 5 minutes, and then it would go back to tasting like it should. This doesn't have that, not at all. It feels like it's gonna smoke dry all the way to the bottom. The moisture content's perfect. I don't know if you can really see that. Oh, you can, but she's burning perfectly evenly. I'm really excited to finish this one. I'll be sad to see it go, but I'm gonna enjoy getting there. So, we'll set the first impressions off to the side for a minute, and I want to talk about this guy. For those of you that have been watching regularly, you may have noticed that this tamper has been changing color, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. It's got textures starting to show up in it where the grain is absorbing the color. The end that I use is a scoop. It's nice and black, but if this would focus in, and of course it's not going to. Well, you can kind of start to see the grain where it's not actually absorbing the color is starting to stand out in the end of this thing. I'm really impressed. Like, I knew it was going to color and look kind of neat as it was coloring and get darker down through the whole thing, but I had no idea it was going to do this. It's definitely been an interesting kind of thing. Of course, I'm a sucker for patina. That's why, oil cured or natural finish pipes I'm drawn to. That's why one of the reasons I'm a slave to the White Goddess. The other reason I'm a slave to the White Goddess is because it's just, it's a clean and cool smoke. And I don't know if I've gotten my technique down or what, or if, like, my final sanding that I did on the inside of the bowl, I don't know if that took care of it, or if I've just finally, after years, have learned how to properly smoke this pipe. But she's been smoking dry. Dry, clean, and beautiful. It's outstanding stuff. It's always nice when things start to work out a little bit. I'm sure as most of you guys would agree. So, a lot of you guys may be wondering about my tobacco experiment. Up until 2 days ago, it was an absolute and total bust. 100% of them gone. So I went out after a decent rain, and I took a bunch of seeds, and I did it all natural style. I made a row, just sprinkled the seeds out down across the row. Nothing until a couple of days ago, and I've got two plants, and I'm pretty sure it's the Virginia. I don't think it's the yellow Orinoco. I'm pretty sure it's the Virginia that's coming up. So, two plants. Coincidentally, these two plants are within an inch and a half of each other. So, uh, I don't know if one of them's going to make it. Because when it gets a little bit more hardy, I'm going to dig it up and move it so it doesn't overcrowd its brother. But, hey, two plants is better than no plants, right? It'll give me just enough to do a little bit of experimenting with and probably mess it up, learn a couple of lessons, and then try it again next year. Next year I'm going to do it different. I'm not going to plant anywhere near as many. And I'm not going to plant them so far away. Since tobacco plants also double over as ornamental plants, I am going to plant a few right out in the front of my house. I've got an open space where an old magnolia tree used to be. And it wasn't like the full-size big magnolia trees. It's some bizarre subspecies that's like some cross between a tree and a shrub. Bright pink flowers, but I have an in-ground basement. Well, I mean, what other kind of basement is there, right? But I have a basement, and this thing was planted literally a foot away from the basement. It's like, come on, guys, really? You're going to put something that's going to expand a root system that close to the basement? You're out of your mind. So, I dug around it, used my father-in-law's truck, and yanked her out of the ground. Planted her out in the middle of the yard. And it had green leaves for the rest of that summer. And then they all kind of fell off towards the end, like prior to the cool down. They just kind of got crispy and fell off, and it started sprouting new leaves. Oh, still going. Started sprouting new leaves, and I'm like, she's gonna make it. This year, in the spring, it sprouted two leaves. And then they just kind of disappeared. They didn't shrivel up. I don't know what happened to them. They just kind of disappeared. And it looks like the tree is actually starting anew at the base, which is unfortunate because it was a fairly sizable tree, but it's better to have it start over than to just completely have died off. Hey, what's going on, Clint? I'm just doing a review of the old squadron leader. And it's very smooth, very mellow. I like it muchly. I'm gonna get around to reviewing the rest of your blends. I've just been swamped, and with current events that are going on right now, I've been kind of avoiding doing it because if I set them out to dry and if I leave them out too long, I don't want your tobacco to go crispy. I want to catch it in that sweet spot. I still have a small helping of the Pirate Plug hiding in there because I only smoked half of it on that review. So I've been holding it back, saving it for a rainy day. But it's good stuff. Ribs. Oh, smoking some ribs for supper. It's good. Yep. Smoking some ribs. I thought you were talking about what was in your pipes. Like, never had that blend. I was just talking about my tobacco plants. Both of them. They just came up a few days ago, and it's been. I'll have two plants. So unfortunately, no bumper crop this year. I'm not going to have probably enough to share, especially considering, with only two plants, I'm probably going to ruin the leaves trying to figure out how to cure them. So there's always that. So maybe next year. I was saying I was going to be doing doing it a little bit differently this year, and having less plants to be more well taken care of, much closer to the house. So, yeah, the only thing you can do when everything dies off on you is learn better lessons for next year. My vegetable garden, though, has been out of control. When I say out of control, I mean that in more ways than one. So last year, I had an absolute disaster fest with my tomatoes. I had the big beefsteak tomatoes, and they're an indeterminate tomato, a determinate tomato, which means they all come out at the same time, if you didn't already know. So all the tomatoes grow, and then they all turn red, and then you get one crop off of them in a year. And I had a major calcium deficiency in my soil, so they all got blossom end rot. And you don't find out about it until it's already too late, especially with a determinate strain of tomato. So most of them were inedible, and most of them I just kind of let go on the vine. Well, that was a big mistake, because I rotated my garden this year. So I put the tomatoes on the opposite end of where they were last year, and I put carrots where the tomatoes were last year. The problem with that is all the tomatoes left over in the dirt from last year that I never bothered to clean out, which was really stupid, sprouted, and they took over my carrots. And so I had to demolish an entire quarter of my garden to try and rectify this, right? Well, that didn't even stop them. It just returned everything over, and I wound up with even more tomato plants. So I didn't even bother replanting carrots. I've just got 2 plots of tomatoes, so I'm going to have a whole lot of those big beefsteak tomatoes this year, and no carrots. And last year I had like no tomatoes, and I had well over 200 carrots. But the zucchini plants are turning and burning. If you got Instagram, I got a picture of my son holding the biggest zucchini we've gotten out of it so far. It's as big as he is, and he's 1.5. That zucchini was seriously almost 1.5 feet long. But we've had really droughty weather, so my corn, my pumpkins, my butternut squash, they've been having a hard time, and just a couple of days ago, my first tobacco plant sprouted. So I've got 2 of them within 1.5 inches of each other. And that's pretty much my, Clint Kindon. Oh, okay. I'll take a look at it. How have things been going for you, by the way? You've been radio silence for a while, which was to be expected, but everything pretty much swinging your way? Things have been pretty hectic here. You know, summer months doing what I do, and it's people doing what they do. It's never a dull moment. We'll just say that much. So, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, and who are watching this afterwards, I've got another youngin' on the way. We'll be here in November, which is really exciting to have another winter baby, which means I'm never gonna see a pool party. Not for the kids, not for me, not for the wife. We're all fall and beyond, so go figure. Because when I was growing up, the only kind of birthday party I ever wanted, I wanted a pool party. But that's not exactly, something you can do in the late stages of fall. So I never got one, and I thought it would be cool, if maybe I had a summer kid, and I'll never be able to actually do that. Thank you. So I will have 2 sons. 2 little maniacs running around driving my wife crazy. As the saying goes, she will be raising 3 kids. 3 boys. 4 if you count one of the dogs. Outnumbered like that show on Fox News. Only the other way around. So, what do you guys want to talk about? My past couple of live videos, the rendering messed up at the end for some reason. Like the last 45 seconds of the video would cut out. Pool parties are for rich people. No, you can have a pool party at the public pool. I've seen it. You just gotta not mind swimming in pee. 3 4-legged ones. I hope they got long hair living up there in Alaska. I don't think my hound dog would make it. Even though he absolutely loves playing in the snow. Pool party and kiddie pools. I got this gigantic garden bathtub in my house that could probably double over as a pool. And that'd be really fun. So, show of hands, who actually wasted their time watching any of my mowing video? It takes me about 5.5 to 6 hours to mow 3.5 acres with a riding lawnmower with a 48-inch cutting deck. So I got really bored and decided to live stream me mowing the grass, and I had a surprising number of people on Instagram actually watch it and comment on it, which I thought was even stranger than the fact that people tuned in on YouTube to watch me do it. But the way I figured it is, people watch those silly train videos all the time. I don't know if you've seen them or heard of them, but they basically strap a GoPro to Dachshund, huh? They strap a GoPro to the front of a train and let her roll for like 6 hours. But I was like, hey, if people watch that, maybe somebody will enjoy watching me mow. So I ran the lawnmower. It was shaky as all hell, but I don't think I've ever leveled the yard, or it hasn't ever been leveled since probably they built the pond on it. Which that pond is both my blessing and my curse. Because it, out here in Michigan, or as far as I know, pretty much anywhere out in the middle of nowhere, if you've got a sizable water feature on your property, it's an insurance discount, which is great. The problem is the pond is not a natural pond, so it doesn't stay full. It fills up over the winter and gradually drains over the summer, which gives life to many a giant weed and many a giant and hateful skeeter, as Clint so rightly suggests. And a whole lot of frogs. I've got a ton of frogs, which is awesome. So I think they help keep the skeeter population down some and still give me the lightning bugs that I really like watching. But yeah, every year in the fall I go in there with the weed whacker with a solid blade, and I cut everything down, and hoping that it'll stay full enough to kill some of it back to just the banks over the winter, or over the course of the next summer, and it never does. So that's an ongoing battle that, thank God, I'm not going to have to fight for too much longer. The next place I live is not going to have 3.5 acres, and if it is, it's going to be undeveloped 3.5 acres, because I don't need that much yard. And with my duty schedule, I definitely do not need as much responsibility as the size gardens I've got going on right now. I spent 4 hours out the other day picking weeds, and I probably picked about 500 pounds of weeds, and then just, covered them up in dirt, composted them in the garden. Why not, right? The core temperature of a compost heap gets high enough, it'll kill off any other seeds that are in there. So you shouldn't have too many weed problems off of them. But get that going, and we'll see where that compost heap stands next summer. I need to turn it, which is not fun because I don't have a pitchfork, which I didn't realize a shovel would not cut it when trying to turn a compost heap made almost entirely out of grass and weeds. So you live and you learn, right? My garden's gotten better each year, and it will continue to get better until I no longer have it. And then my lessons learned will transfer over to the next place that I go to. But I'd like to see the end of old Pipe Cat's porch growing experiment. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching that. He grows him some baccy on his porch, and I think that's pretty cool. That's one of the things that gave me the idea to try growing my own. Because really, how hard can it be? It's growing a plant. Look it out there. Yeah, my neighbor's got one, but the way I fenced in my garden makes it really hard to get in there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I think he's probably actually got a pitchfork I can borrow. You just turn it over and get the center exposed so a new section can heat up and start to rot. You know, the greatest part about a compost heap is no weeds grow underneath it, which I think is spectacular. So, we're about halfway through this bowl of Squadron Leader here, and I'm starting to pick up a bit of a sharp tingle in my mouth. Almost the tingle that you get from having too much Perique, only having too much Perique will put a strip down the middle of your tongue, or at least it does mine. But this is a whole mouth tingle, and it's not like anything I've ever gotten from Latakia before. But it still tastes smooth, light, and fluffy. And we're halfway down this gigantic bowl. I mean, that's how much I've smoked so far. And the flavor, it stayed exactly the same, which is surprisingly exactly the same as it smelled in the bag. Get a little ash knocked off of here. And I've never had a tobacco actually do that. Smoke exactly how it smells out of the bag. It tastes the same. It's the most consistent thing I've ever smoked. The Squadron Leader is definitely going to be on my list of things to watch out for. I've already got a notification sent in, but I don't know how often SmokingPipes.com gets a hold of it. And I probably should shoot old Wharf Valley Boy a message and see how prominent Squadron Leader is out there in Europe, because from what he was saying, Samuel Gawith's Best Brown is all over the place out there, and it's actually really hard to come by here. Nightcap plus P. Nightcap plus Perique. What, you mix a little bit of Perique in with the Nightcap or something? Because I've got tons of Nightcap. I've got probably 2 pounds of Nightcap cellared away right now. Because Nightcap was my default go-to for years, before I started branching out and trying different flavors and things like that. I found one that I liked and it worked, and it was Dunhill Nightcap. And so every time I put in a tobacco order, Nightcap was right there at the top of the list. So I've got jars of this stuff. It was growing in the basement. I moved it outside, and it died because we had that really, really weird heat wave. And so it killed everything off, and then we got a rain come through, and so I reseeded the ground directly to try and regrow that way. And just now got a couple take up. 50 grand a Nightcap at 25 grams of Latakia and Perique and 10 grams of Bright VAs. Huh. Sounds interesting. It sounds like it would be, it sounds like it would make the Nightcap more intense. Which, if I was going for intensity, what is it? London's Mixture? I think it was London's Mixture #1. It's a green tin. Smoked that stuff. It was basically straight Latakia. It slapped me on one cheek, slapped me on the other cheek, knocked me face first in the dirt, and then kicked me a couple of times. Every time I smoked that stuff, my mouth was a campfire. It didn't just taste like one. So I've been working on trying to find that middle ground. That Burley Morning Pipe. Oh, nice. I gotcha. But Andrew Sirigliana sent me that 1901 St. James. I guess it's a local blender he's got. Burley Morning Pipe. I smoked the last of that this morning. It's truly tasty. A nice mellow smoke. It doesn't have an overwhelming flavor at all. It's just a nice light, if you can call a Burley blend light. Light smoke. It pairs really well with coffee. It's good kicking back and chooching backy. But as the name suggests, it works better in the morning than in the evenings. It's a little too light for the evenings. Kind of like to stick towards the heavier stuff as the sun goes down, which is why I'm smoking Squadron Leader right now. Turned out another pipe tamper. Probably the most simple one I've done out of cherry yet. It's just a slightly bent cylinder, which is pretty neat. It's got a flat end on both sides. Each one of them's a different size. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that one's going to look once it's actually completely finished. There's two of them I've got to finish, and I need to get back into making them. But surprisingly enough, I haven't sold a single one. Given a couple away, traded a couple. But since I was planning on selling them for backy money anyway, I'd trade them for backy. Well, but next batch, whenever it happens, pirate plug. Oh, I'd love a big old chunk of it. Oh, I don't know. I think plug would be fine. I think I would have a good time trying to shave off a couple of flakes. I really enjoyed cutting the plug up that you sent and the twists. There's something truly satisfying about taking a razor sharp knife and just digging into that tobacco. It was definitely on the satisfying side. So, not a hint of moisture in this thing so far. I mean, it's not like super dry, but I don't have the normal moisture buildup that I start to get in the bottom of the pipe, which is awesome. Ah, but I think over the winter, because I'm liable to be plenty bored, and there's only so much time you can spend crocheting, right? I might put me in an order for leaves only, and try blending some of my own stuff. I've got a couple ideas for a press, and I may have to see what I could do about finding finding a way to stove the Virginias without leaving the oven on for an extended period of time, because, well, hot coils and 1-year-olds are never a good combination. Which is, pretty safe to say. For some reason, my kid is absolutely, wow, I would have never thought of that. Crock pot and mason jars. I like it. You are a very innovative type of individual, Clint. Well, I don't know what it is about the oven. If the oven's on, if it's not on, if you're cooking at the stove, if you're doing the dishes, it doesn't matter. My kid runs over to the oven and sticks his face right into it all the time. I don't understand what his prefixation with the oven is, but he's definitely got one. So, I do have a question about hydrating the tobacco. You use a clothes steamer. What do you think about using one of those hot humidifiers, like for the rooms, like Vicks makes them or whatever? I don't know. Have you ever tried anything like with that, or thought about it? Because I don't know exactly how those coils work, and don't know if it would impart a slightly metallic flavor to the tobacco, and that's something I definitely don't want to do. Ah, there we go. Still burning great. Oh, there's the first little click of moisture down at the bottom. Alrighty. So, yeah, kids are definitely strange. Yeah, I really wish that I didn't have to watch what I said so much on this, because Plug, I'd love to get in, like, go deep with some conspiracy theories with you. I had some stuff that I just can't get all that far into. I'd have to say, though, the most ludicrous conspiracy theory I've ever heard is the flat Earth one, assuming that, you know, all of the NASA employees for so long have been able to keep up that lie without one decent, credible leak, and still have, like, a completely blind view of physics. Huh. Now, I think I'm going to try the hot humidifier. I'll let you know how it works. I don't think I'm going to do a video of it because the connectivity at my house is kind of, half the time. The mowing video should have been evidence of that. I'm sure it cut out and got kind of all nasty at the same time. But I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here and go back to trolling YouTube a little bit while I finish out this pipe. It was fantastic, fantastic smoking and joking with you guys. It's always a pleasure to, you know, do one of these videos and have a little interaction kickback. So y'all take it easy. I look forward to hearing from y'all in the future, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, have a good one.